we're live. Here we go on YouTube's. We'll be starting here on the hour. Yay! That means ads are starting. Which is a good thing. It disables our pre-roll ads. Woo! Alright, let's make sure the booth one is good. Can you hear me in the booth? Yes, you can. All right, cool. Still setting up here, but we'll be ready in 4 minutes, no doubt. But if you're here early, you get extra credit points today, and you're here in time for me to tell you, go watch Centurion. If you're looking for somebody to do that whole gaming thing, way better than I do it, go follow him. He's playing, I think it's a Call of the Wild, a hunting game right now. It's pretty entertaining, actually, and he's pretty good at it too, which helps, you know. So to my fellow favorite Australian gaming streamer, go follow Centurion. Great guy. Oh, you know what time it is when you hear that noise? It's time for the Whiskey Wednesday. That's right. That's right. That's right. I'm trying to get hyped up. I'm trying to get in the mood and out of the day. You know how that goes, right? It's been one of those days. I'm sure you've had them. I'm sure we've all been there. It's just been one of those days. So, you know, here's what it is. I'm going to turn down the volume here a little bit and, you know, welcome you to the stream that makes you ask,
what the dog doing?
Because, you know, that's what you do sometimes. Shay, hey, how's it going? Joining us on the YouTubes. Thank you very much for joining in tonight. You are in for a doozy. Okay, maybe not, but it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Tonight's stream, if you will, it's going to be a little different than I normally do. I normally pick a work from an author, and I do kind of their first chapter. So something a little different, but still going to be live narration, so we're still in the same theme. It's going to be okay. Pump the brakes. Don't worry about it. But first, we can't start a Whiskey Wednesday without having a little bit of whiskey, and we're still bringing in the new year, the new month with a bang, as it were. Boom! With some Ammunition Distillery Ammunition straight bourbon whiskey. Let me back it up. So it came into. I think it's backwards. It's backwards, isn't it? It looks backwards to me. It's probably backwards to you, but I swear it says ammunition. That's what it says, because it fits in with my dad joke. So there you go. Let's pour some and get it started. Boom. Let's switch over to a scene where we can all enjoy the pour. Right? There we go. Go. And that was a little more than I wanted. But it's been one of those days, so it's okay. We'll make that disappear quick, I promise. Now's a great time. Sit back, relax, grab a beverage of your own. Doesn't have to be whiskey. It's just a suggestion. It could be your favorite beverage of choice. Doesn't have to be whiskey. It's okay. It's okay. It's been one of those days, though, so I'm looking forward to this a lot. It's kind of like... What's it been like? Let me think about that. Oh, that's good. That's really good. This stream has in no way, in any part, been brought to you by Ammunition Distillery. Let me make that clear. They are not a sponsor, but if they want to, shoot me an email. Because it's good, and I would gladly do that. Today. It's kind of like, you're looking at a mountain of work, right? And it's like a similar experience that I had this week for the first time, and probably not the last time. And I'm actually kind of surprised that it took me this long to have this experience. Work today, my day job, which was not narration. I talk about it a little bit on stream, but I do cybersecurity, well, less cybersecurity now, more a focus on nuclear regulation and things like that. But anyways, sounds fancy. It's just a big paperworky type of job. But I had this experience in the similar week, and it was kind of like that today, where it was like farting in your booth, right, in your vocal booth, where, you know, you have this buildup, and you're like, do I push? Like, yeah, I'll push. It's just me in here. How bad could it be? And then you find out a couple seconds later after pushing that out or diving in, it's bad. But now you have to deal with it because you're in there. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that today. It's like a big, stinky fart of work. So I'm ready. I'm ready for the bourbon, if you will. So cheers. This is going to be a good Whiskey Wednesday, you know? Starting off with a bang. The stories, let's talk about those. Because that's important, right? Not the farts, but the stories. Two really good ones, actually. And the first one, I'm actually really excited to talk about it. It's another project that I got an opportunity to jump into. And I'll kind of talk about it more when I jump into the booth. But it's an anthology of short stories from various authors in the public domain. Older works, as it were, because that's usually what's in your public domain, is older works. And there's some fantastic stories in there. And it's a combination of different narrators, too, that are jumping in. So all of the stories we kind of divvied up, built out this anthology, and then narrators got to go in there and take their pick on what they wanted to narrate. And hopefully we'll have them all done by the end of this month. So tonight I'm going to use this kind of as an opportunity to jump in and do like a practice run. I'm not going to record on this stream because I still have some issues I need to work out to get that to work flawlessly so that it's actually productive when I'm doing it on the live stream, but that'll come later. But so we're going to do a practice run of that, and it's a story by Bill Nye, no, not the science guy, the guy from 1881, and it's called, I think, The Grammar Boy is what it's called. It's in the title to the stream. What did I call it? I don't know, something like that. But that one's going to be fun. It's a humorous take on language, at least in 1881, so that'll be fun. Steve, hey, thanks for joining. How's the whiskey, amigo? It is fantastic, and I've been looking forward to it pretty much all day, because the day job day was, as we were talking about earlier, a big stinky booth fart. So I'm looking forward to the stream and the whiskey. So second story though is going to be one that is, I think it is up now, or it's coming out here very shortly. So you get like a little sneak peek for a second time, if you will. It's called Alien. It's a short story by Mathew Butcher. And he is one of the authors that works on the Other Stories podcast, which is a short horror story podcast that I do some stuff for. And it's a really good one. I think you guys will like the twist at the end. So we're going to dive into that one. I'm excited about that one too. And I even have a little playlist of like suspense music going for that one. We'll see how that works out. Or if I remember to do it. Just depends on how much of this whiskey I dive into on this Whiskey Wednesday, if I remember or not. But we'll see. We'll see. It's a strong possibility I'll forget. But maybe somebody will remind me. For your entertainment tonight and to keep me accountable, if I flub, I make a mistake, I have a flub counter that you can participate in. And I can hold myself accountable in the booth as well with a little pushable button. But you just type in !flub, and it adds a flub to the counter. Oh, I should probably reset that to 0. Start off, I could probably give myself, a grace of like 10 because it's going to happen. But, it's fun. Some people on the channel like to turn that into a drinking game. Drink responsibly. I flub a lot. So if you have to switch to water, it's okay. I'll understand. Sometimes I can't say waspishly. Ooh, that's still a struggle. I hate that word. Waspishly. Anyways. I think since we did ads at the very beginning of the stream, which is a really cool option, I don't think we'll have to deal with that for a little while. So we can jump into the booth and we can get some narration started maybe before that thing kicks in. But whenever that does kick in, I'll make sure that I pause for you guys and continue after the ad stream of addiness, if you will, and we'll get going on that. Yeah. Oh, Steve, since you're here, I really enjoyed watching your or listening to your live stream today on the Lit RPG series that you're doing. I don't know. I guess I've been under a rock. I think you have to take my nerd card from me because I just recently discovered what the heck Lit RPG was. I didn't know what it was until like a few months ago. I don't know why. It seems like it would be right up my alley, right? Like, oh, it's kind of video gamey RPG meets audiobook, like, or book, that should be. Anyways, so I started off doing some research, as you should, and I just finished the very first Dungeon Crawler Carl, I think is what it's called. I had a suggestion from a group on Facebook. They said it's really popular. That's a good one to jump into. It's really funny. It's good. But I'm excited to jump into other ones, and hearing you kind of narrate, I'm like, oh, you know what? I wouldn't mind narrating some of that. So I might try to go do some stuff for that and maybe get a a little sample, a little demo out or whatever, a demo reel, if you will, out on that. So we'll see. But yeah, you're loving the lit RPG. Awesome. Obviously you're like the master of voices, so you're really good at it, but it's entertaining to listen to. And like the cool thing is like, every time I listen to one of your narrations, really anybody's narrations, but specifically your narrations, I key into how is he doing those voices. And a lot of times I make sure that I'm in my room alone with my door closed, because I try to copy some of the voices you're doing to figure out how you're forming them. And it's probably real weird, because I got earbuds in, so nobody can hear what I'm hearing, and they're just, I'm like mimicking. It's a thing. I'm sure entertaining from an outside perspective when I think about it, but there's that. But no, I learn a lot from them, so thank you for doing them. It's cool. Especially like in the very beginning, since I've been doing this like professionally for about a year now, since I started right around January of last year, really doing it for real. Like, hey, I'm going to pursue this. It was kind of like one of those like things that gave me a little bit more confidence. And it sounds terrible, but like I would see somebody that's super experienced like you, and you'd have your flubs and your mess ups, and you're like, well, I'm not the only one. It made me feel better. Like, oh, that guy messed up on a word. He just does it less often than I do. Like I do it every other word, but he does it every 800 or so. So there's that. So I love listening to those, and Clubhouse is amazing for that. So keep doing them, please, is what I'm saying. And hey, Hearthside, how you doing there, buddy? Let me give you a shout out. Hearthside also, if you don't know, now you're gonna know, is an audiobook narrator as well, and he streams here on Twitch. And if you're in Twitch, you can kind of see that. I don't think that actually forwarded to YouTube, but just to let you know, there's another audiobook person in here, watching, critiquing, making me nervous, making me flub more, upping that. And you know what? The people that are playing the drinking game, they love that. So keep it going. No, he's actually a super nice guy, really good narrator. Definitely go check out Hearthside Gaming's channel. Really, really good. And I think he said he'll be back. Confirm for me, Hearthside Gaming, that you'll be back on Wednesday next week too, as well, right? Usually in the morning time for me, doing another narration. I caught just like the tail end today. I was like in and out of business meetings all day, and it's just like I was saying earlier, it's one of those warm booth farts. Ain't nothing weird about that. Well, thank you, Steve. I'm sure. Well, for the tradespeople like ourselves, it's probably normal. But the rest of my family walking by, well, they know. If I videoed it, recorded it, recorded it, and put it on YouTube, it'd look real weird. Yes, that's the plan. Okay, so you are going to be on next Wednesday as well, doing some narration. Cool. What are you going to be narrating? Do you know yet? I know you're talking about some like public domain stuff. I can't remember for the life of me if you said you were going to be doing that, or if you had like an actual like book that you're recording during that. But anyways, I'll try to be there. As long as that pesky day job leaves me alone long enough that I can jump in. But we should.
My God, are you still talking?
I am still talking. I promise we'll go over to the booth. That's what we're going to do. Let's just get over there and jump into the first story. Because that guy, he's not going to leave me alone unless we do. I'll join you over there. It's a jog. It's a hike for me, but I'll join you there. Let's go. Into the booth. It's fun. It's fun getting in here. That's what it is. Yeah. Eventually, I'm gonna have like a nice. Oh, I changed the position of my microphone too. I forgot about that because I was doing some like sound checks and stuff, as you do. And now there's like a big microphone right in the middle of my face. It's kind of weird for you guys, isn't it? Oh no. What am I going to do? Maybe I can like, okay, if you get motion sickness, close your eyes because I'm going to move your point of view. Oh, I don't know. I'm on a delay. That's not going to move. That's not going to move. I'm going to stop that. I'm sorry. We're going to deal with it for right now, and I'll fix that later. Oh, I should have looked at that. I'm so sorry. But hopefully that doesn't distract you too much. Anywho. Okay, so Hearthside says, not sure yet. It depends on what comes up this week. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so you might have a story in the works. Or, hey, fallback plan. We got some stuff. Or you think of something better, I've been kind of trying to rack my brains around, like, during our ad breaks, what I could do that would be kind of fun. I don't know. Maybe we do, like, a words on stream or whatever. But then, like, the YouTube folks can't join in. I don't know. I've been thinking. I'm brainstorming about that. So, if you have any ideas, let me know. Dude, your transitions are fire. Thanks, Steve. I go for this theme of awkward and semi-professional. So hopefully that translates to the transitions. I don't know. Because that's kind of how I am. Steve says, it's hilarious. Looks like you have an elongated koala nose. Awesome. That's what I was going for, right? All right. Okay. Where's my stuff? All right. Let's just give myself a flub right away. So you'll see that, and hopefully that works and transitions to. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, I got to work on that for the next one. But if you're in Twitch, you can see that I have a flub count now, a mistake, because I'm going to do it. You could say this is a mistake. You wouldn't be wrong. All right. So let's get this actually started up. We're going to jump into the very first story. Like I said, is a public domain story called The Grammatical Boy by Bill Nye. Not the science guy, the dude that wrote it in 1881. That guy. This is from an anthology that will be out later, probably, I would think, in February, if we're going to finish up in January. But don't quote me on that. But as I know more, I will let you know and update you on that. But it's from an anthology that will be called Character and Culture, a collection of American short stories. It'll feature narrators doing all these short stories. There's quite a few of them. I want to say there's like 20 plus in there. Also, don't quote me on that number because I didn't count, but it looked like there's about that many. It'll have narrators like me and John Hopkinson, which is the gentleman that I actually learned about this project from. I think it'll be kind of fun, like just doing this audiobook compilation of all these stories they're all pretty fun and unique in their own way. And I think it builds a really good kind of profile of American short stories from the public domain. So, let's just jump into it, shall we? Shall we get it started? Yeah! Start it up like Windows 95. Let's go. All right. The Grammatical Boy by Bill Nye. I'm going to turn off the music actually first. Hold on. Because it's distracting as hell. All right, here we go. Sometimes a sad, homesick feeling comes over me when I compare the prevailing style of anecdote and school literature with the old McGuffey brand, so well known for 30. Okay. The language in this is going to be real weird, so get your flub counter started. I gave myself the free one, so we're going to start over, but and read this better. But as we go through some of these things too, I'll try to point out some of the words and things that are in the story that don't make sense to today's kind of vernacular, if you will, as we go. And if you have any questions, let me know, and I might be able to fill you in. But here we go. Sometimes a sad, homesick feeling comes over me when I compare the prevailing style of anecdote and school literature with the old McGuffey brand, so well known 30 years ago. Today, our juvenile literature, it seems to me, is so transparent, so easy to understand, that I'm not surprised to learn that the rising generation shows signs of lawlessness. Boys today do not use the respectful language and large, luxuriant words that they did when Mr. McGuffey used to stand around and report their conversations for his justly celebrated school reader. It is disagreeable to think of, but it is nonetheless true. And for one, I think we should face the facts. I ask the careful student of school literature to compare the following selection, which I have written myself with great care, and arranged with special reference to the matter of choice and difficult words, with the flippant and commonplace terms used in the average school book of today. Today is 1881. Remember that. Here we go, into his story that he wrote. One day, as George Pillgarlic was doing his tasks, and while passing through the wood, he spied a tall man approaching an opposite direction along the highway. Ah, thought George in a low, mellow tone of voice, whom have we here? Good morning, my fine fellow, exclaimed the stranger pleasantly. Do you reside in this locality? Indeed I do, retorted George, cheerfully doffing his cap. In yonder cottage near the glen, my widowed mother and her 13 children dwell with me. And is your father dead? Exclaimed the man with a rising inflection. Extremely so, murmured the lad. And, oh, sir, that is why my poor mother is a widow. And how did your papa die? Asked the man as he thoughtfully stood on the other foot a while. Alas, sir, said George, as a large hot tear stole down his pale cheek and fell with a loud report on the warty surface of his bare foot. He was lost at sea in a bitter gale. The good ship foundered 2 years ago last Christmas tide, and father was foundered at the same time. No one knew the loss of the ship, that the crew was drowned, until the next spring, and it was then too late. So right here, just to stop a second, because I had to look up the hell does foundered mean? I could assume drowned, and you would be right if you assumed that as well. So foundered is like an old-fashioned term for saying to fill with water and sink, right? And if you were to put that in context of a person, his father drowned, right? Foundered. So I didn't know that. I had to look it up. There you go. Now you know. But it kind of adds to, if you could see what he's doing here already, the author, if you will, is making this comparison between how school books are today in his time to how they used to be, and this flowery language and stuff that they used to put in. So he's making a joke of all of this, if you can't tell. So the story is really overly dramatic. Also, the reference to Christmastide is the Christmas season, right? So he's instilling kind of this sentimental, sorrowful thing that's kind of, it'll be a recurring kind of theme throughout this, but that's what those two are, because I had to look them up myself, so that's what they are. Now we can continue. And what is your age, my fine fellow? Quoth the stranger. If I live till next October, said the boy in a declamatory tone, voice suitable for a second reader, I will be 7 years of age. So he's being obviously overdramatic. And a second reader, if you don't know what that is it's these old, like, kind of didactic school books that they used to use back in the day, like school primers is what they were. And he's kind of referencing and making fun of this, like, very stilted, like stilted, kind of loquacious language, if you will, that they used to use. But all of these stories kind of had a common theme in that they had some kind of moral, learning or, thing to them, like almost like an Aesop's fable, if you will, kind of in that vein, right? They had some kind of lesson that you were learning in these readers or primers. And that's what he's referencing here, and second reader. So hopefully that makes more sense now. I'll go back and read that line so it kind of makes more sense, and then we'll go on. And that sound means, if you heard it, we're about to enter into an ad break. So I will stop here for just a second, and we'll let that roll through, and we'll go from there. If me filling in what certain context is during the middle of the story is super distracting, you don't like it, let me know. Something I'm trying out, just kind of, as I'm learning and going through these things and trying to figure out how to narrate them, it's just stuff that I found was interesting. And if I were to make a written version of this, I'd put them in like a footnote or something as kind of like an interest note, like, hey, this is what this means. Because some of this is very dated because the language is old. And he's being even older than his time because he's kind of making fun of it. So if you find it interesting, let me know. If you don't, I'll stop doing it. Let me catch up on chat during the ad break. Okay. We're good. It looks like we're good. Looks like we're good. Looks like we're good. Good. All right. So we'll be able to jump back in here in 24 seconds. So it's actually giving me a counter this time, which is great. It wasn't doing that last time for me. I don't know why. It's probably something I did. But now we can sit back and enjoy our beverages together. I poured quite a bit this time, so I got quite a bit to go through. And let me tell you, whiskey in the recording booth just really sets you up to have nothing but mouth noise. So my apologies if you can hear that. You probably can't, but I can. That's driving me nuts. Anyways, I think we're over our ad break, so we're back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's continue with our cheeky reading of this particular story. I think it's pretty funny so far, but like I was saying, let me know if you want me to fill in those little quips or not, and I'll go from there. So let's start with that last line again, and we'll go from there. If I live till next October, said the boy in a declamatory tone of voice suitable for a second reader, I will be 7 years of age. And who provides your mother and her large family of children? Queried the man. Indeed, I do, sir, replied George in a shrill tone. I toil, oh, so hard, sir, for we are very, very poor, and since my elder sister Anne was married and brought her husband home to live with us, I have to toil more assiduously than heretofore. And by what means do you obtain a livelihood? Exclaimed the man in a slowly measured and grammatical choice of words. By digging wells, kind sir, replied George, picking up a tired ant as he spoke and stroking it on the back. I have a good education, and so I am able to dig wells as well as a man. I do this daytimes and take in washing at night. In this way I am enabled barely to maintain our family in a precarious manner, but oh, sir, should my other sisters marry, I fear that some of my brothers-in-law would have to suffer. And do you not fear the deadly fire damp? Asked the stranger in an earnest tone. Not by a damp sight, answered George, with a low, gurgling laugh, for he was a great wag. All right, to stop there and fill you in, fire damp is actually an old mining term that refers to flammable gases like methane that can build up underground and cause explosions. They used to send canaries down in there. So if you were digging in a mine and you found a dead canary, you're like, oh, back off, one of those things. So that's what they're referring to by fire damp, is those deadly gases that can build up and cause those explosions. So when he says, and do you not fear the deadly fire damp, that's what he's talking about. Also, when George says, he says his little quip, right? Not by a damp sight, like not by a long shot is kind of what he's saying. But when he says, with a low gurgling laugh, for he was a great wag, what that means is that wag refers to him being witty or clever, like he's always telling jokes. So that's what that means. So that gives you kind of context. So when he says, not by a damp sight, answered George with a low gurgling laugh, for he was a great wag. Now you know what that means. I had to look that up, so I thought I'd share. What the hell does that mean? Now you know. You are indeed a brave lad, exclaimed the stranger, as he repressed a smile. And do you not at times become very wary and wish for other ways of passing your time? Indeed I do, sir, said the lad. I would fain run and romp and be gay like other boys, but I must engage in constant manual exercise, or we will have no bread to eat, and I have not seen a pie since Papa perished in the moist and moaning sea. And what if I were to tell you that your Papa did not perish at sea, but was saved from a humid grave? Asked the stranger in pleasing tones. Ah, sir, exclaimed George in a genteel manner, again doffing his cap. I am too polite to tell you what I would say, and besides, sir, you are much larger than I am. But, my brave lad, said the man in low musical tones, do you not know me, Georgie? Oh, George! I must say, replied George, that you have the advantage of me. Whilst I may have met you before, I cannot at this moment place you, sir. My son! Oh, my son! Murmured the man, at the same time taking a large strawberry mark out of his valise and showing it to the lad. Do you not recognize your parent on your father's side? When our good ship went to the bottom, all perished, save me. I swam several miles through the billows, and at last, utterly exhausted, gave up all hope of life. Suddenly, I stepped on something hard. It was the United States. So to stop there, valise is a small handbag. So he took something out of a small handbag. What that something was a strawberry mark. I had to look this up because what the heck is a strawberry mark? I hadn't heard that before. So a strawberry mark is usually made in reference to like a birthmark. But in the context of this, he's basically producing some kind of evidence, some kind of mark that shows him proof that he's his father in this case. The one that was lost at sea is now no longer lost at sea. So he's showing him proof that he is his father. All right, let's jump into the very last paragraph here and the final conclusion of our story. And now, my brave boy, exclaimed the man with great glee, see what I have brought for you. But it was the work of a moment. But it was but the work of a moment to unclasp from a shawl strap, which he held in his hand, and present to George's astonished gaze a large 40-cent watermelon, which until now had been concealed by the shawl strap. The end. So, I really like this story, which is why I picked it. One, our author here, Mr. Nye, is making fun of language and creating this elaborate story. And then the twist at the end is that the father that he thought was lost at sea was actually alive. And we build up to this moment of, I'm your dad and I have this surprise for you. What's the surprise? A watermelon. And it's really funny to me, and I don't know why. So that's why I picked the story to narrate, because I think this one's going to be fun. So a little bit of research on figuring out what some of this old stuff is, but I kind of like that. I don't know if you guys like that or not, but I really like kind of 17th and 18th century literature anyways, because I think the stories are really good. There's some really good stuff there. But I like doing the extra research and figuring out what some of these things are. And in doing that, you go down the rabbit hole sometimes because you're like, oh, I'm going to research this and figure out what that is. Like, oh, that's really cool. And then you read another thing and, it's like the late night clicking on YouTube short videos. You just keep going and then it's 3 a.m. and, you're screwed. So you got to take your kid to school at 7 a.m., same time. You're trying to teach him responsibility. Just do what I say, not what I do. Anywho, hopefully you enjoyed that story. Let's go back to the desk for just a second while I queue up the next one, because we might be... Oh, actually, we just passed one, but let's go back to the desk anyways. All right. Shall we? We shall. Who's hit my knee on that? You know what I should do? Finish off this coffee. Did you all like that story? Hopefully you did. Hopefully you did. turn off the coffee warmer. I got this, what do they call it? Not a trivet. Is it a trivet? Is that the wrong word? It's like a heated pad thing that you can put your coffee cup on, and it like notices like the weight of your coffee cup, so it'll stay on as long as your coffee cup's on there. It'll turn off after like, I think it's like 5 hours or something like that anyways. But if you take it off and you leave it off, it'll shut off after like a minute. But anyways, it keeps your coffee like warm like all day. I don't know what I did before. I had cold coffee. That's what I did before. I can't live without this thing. Kept my coffee warm. What more can you ask? I'm a simple man. Simple pleasures. That is left field, and I love it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think you're referring to the story, correct? Okay, so the next one, this one's going to be out soon, and this one's really cool. So, like I was talking about earlier, I do narrations for short stories, usually horror themed, for the Other Stories podcast, theotherstories.net, if you want to look them up. This one will be out here soon, but this is cool in the fact that this is kind of a reanimation, is what they're calling it, of the story. So these were, when they very first started out, the very first stories, they're going back and having them re-narrated and kind of produced, if you will, like a whole new production on them. Now that obviously the team is much more experienced, and they have, most of the narrators on the staff have been doing it for a long time at this point, since not most of us, but a lot of us since at least 2015, like myself. So we've kind of learned the flow of things, at least for the short stories. So anyways, they're going back to their older episodes, hundreds and hundreds of episodes, and we're redoing them all. And it's kind of cool. Like, we're revisiting some of these stories that were really, really good. This is one of those. So it's already out if you're a Patreon member of the Other Stories, but it'll be out here soon on the main feed for this upcoming week, I think. So on next Monday, I think it'll be out. I think that's right, because every month they do a new theme, and you get one every Monday, I believe, of the week. So there's one a week, right? So 4 stories a month, usually. Unless the month's long for some reason. But anyways, so this is a reimagining of that. And I think it's really good. And I really love the twist at the end. Maybe it's a concept that was kind of done before, but before I narrated this one, it was kind of new to me. I really liked it. I think you guys might enjoy it as well. So this one, I might deal with the music, even though I hate listening to it, because I queued up some suspense. Anybody remember that old radio show? Suspense. Stories written to keep you in suspense. It was an old time radio show. Used to love listening to those when I was a kid, like replays of them. Because I'm not that old, even though my beard may tell you different. But I used to listen to reruns of like The Shadow and Amos and Andy, and Suspense was one of them. And I think there was it The Whistler? It was like the train, and they would tell like dramatic stories. And anyways, so I have suspenseful music queued up. So let's turn that on, shall we? We shall. Okay, that shouldn't distract me too much. Hopefully you can hear it. It's like a delicate balancing act between like, I can't concentrate, versus a nice ambient sound. Oh, it's randomizing it too. That's cool. We'll go with it. So this one is called Alien. So let's jump over to the booth and get to that. Oh, here we go. Excited about this one. This one's going to be fun. I will enjoy it. Anybody keep up on the flubs from the last one? I didn't. So I'm going to give myself at least 5. You know? There we go. Okay. To anybody that's still there and I haven't scared off, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. For some of you, it's probably pretty late, so y'all are crazy. All right, so this one is going to be, when it comes out on the podcast, episode 100.8. It's called the Foxton... Oh, no. Correction. This will be much past 100.8 for Alien, which is what the title of this is, written by Matt Butcher. I left myself a note here to remind you, because I said I was going to last time, in the last Wednesday that we did. 100.8 is called Foxton Lockdown Boogie. That is actually out now. Told you when it would be released. It is released. It's the one about the big meteoroids hitting the Earth, where the guy was writing kind of like the journal, if you will. So it was like his internal thoughts of that and, his kids and the whole thing. But anyways, that's out already, so you can go listen to that. 100.8, that's the fully produced version of what we read on stream that night. So there you go. Confused myself with my own note. It makes sense, doesn't it? Give myself a flub for that one. And drink to that, and then we'll jump into this. Again, this is Alien by Matt Butcher. Originally narrated, when it first came out, by Steve Conlon. It was cold that night. Colder than normal for that time of year. I remember clear as yesterday, though how could I not, given that it was when this nightmare began. I'd been out in a field tending to my flock when I'd seen the light in the night sky. It was a fiery speck that twinkled like a distant flame at the end of a pitch-dark cellar. I remember glancing up at the time and disregarding it as meaningless, the folly of the heavens, but I'd soon find my initial assessment to be wholly inaccurate. A while later, for reasons still unknown to me, I glanced up a second time to see the speck had now doubled in size. This time it held my gaze, and I just stared upwards until my neck got sore. Within the burning orange, the shape of a dark disk was now visible. There was something solid in the fire. A rock, maybe, I thought? I considered running to the local town to alert the village council in case it was something more, but thought better of it. What's the point? I'd ask myself. Space rocks fall in my fields all the time. Only recently I had found a large meteor the size of my skull still smoldering in its crater not too far from where I was standing that night. This was just another rock. I was sure of it. After rounding up my wayward cattle and herding them into their night dwellings, I set back to my house, sparing one last glance upward. This time I was stopped dead in my tracks. The rock was now as large as our star in the night sky. Now, however, the rock was recognizable as something else, something artificial. A metal disc that I remember thinking at the time looked like a burning plate that was getting larger as it drew closer. This certainly merited the attention of the local council, but at this point I'd never reached the town in time, so instead I just stood with mouth agape and watched. I watched as the fire grew brighter. I watched as the disc grew larger, and I watched as the object came into a surprisingly gentle collision with the ground of the field adjacent to the one I was standing in. The ground shook as dirt flew into the air, and still, all I could do was watch. Eventually, I somehow managed to move, and did so in the direction of this landed heavenly thing as fast as I could. This apparently wasn't the first time the metal object had fallen from the sky. I'd heard stories from far away of a metal beasts descending from space, shrouded in fire. They would unfurl themselves from the ball as they arrived, as our view of the world with cold... They would unfurl themselves from the ball as they arrived. That's what I'm messing up. Flub, flub. They would unfurl themselves from the ball They arrived and view our world with cold, glassy eyes. They were wordless and mechanical and sought only to take our plants, our livestock, and, on a couple of reported occasions, one of our own. These were just rumors, though hearsay, and most had disregarded them as such. But now, faced with the thing in actuality, I realized there must be at least some truth to the stories. As I arrived in the adjacent field, I found the disc, which, as it happened, was more conical in shape, sat smoldering in the dirt its impact had formed, like a metal egg in an earthen nest. From its metal-paneled side, a doorway began to open, with a hiss revealing a dark interior. And then, stillness. A slave to my curiosity, I took a couple of foolish steps forward, eager to peer inside. Eager, edging closer step by step, I came almost within an arm's reach before a tall figure appeared in the doorway, with enough suddenness to send me falling over backwards onto the ground. The visitor was garbed in strange, chunky, pale clothing that appeared seamless. This was save for the hole in its head, the only visible part of the creature, poked out of it. It appeared fragile by comparison to us. Its pale skin was pulled taut over an angular bone structure, large eyes set in close together and far into their sockets, and with a patch of something strange and burnt orange on its crown. On its crown. Was this headwear or something organic? It looked almost plant-like, as though it was growing from the creature's scalp. Seeing me sat on the floor, it took a step forward and extended its hand, adorned with an extra digit, in my direction. I viewed it suspiciously. Was I to be taken with a visitor like the victims of the stories I'd heard? It pulled the tight skin around its mouth back to reveal rows of tiny teeth, far more than normal, all of near uniform size. I couldn't tell if this was an expression of aggression or reassurance, though given the circumstance, I assumed the latter. I felt far from reassured. "Who are you?" I wanted to scream. "Where do you come from?" I already half knew the answer to this second question. Upwards. Outer space. What stood before me was a creature from another planet, another galaxy for all I knew. After a moment's hesitation, I reached up and grabbed the creature's hand, covered in its strange, armored glove, and allowed it to pull me up. Teeth still bared, it spoke words in a language we'd later come to understand and fear. This was only when its peers used this language to talk us from our homes, which we'd soon learn were positioned over rich mineral and ore deposits we had yet to discover for ourselves. This was also the language that was used to tell us they were taking our resources, our land, for themselves. And they would let us live peacefully if we stayed in our designated safe zones. They then used their words to negotiate the terms of our slave-like labor in the mines they'd set up in rubble of our former towns. "Don't worry," the visitor said after helping me to my feet. "I'm from planet Earth. We come in peace." The end. Ooh, we're the bad guys. Let's go back to the desk and talk about it. No. Knock my keyboard down. We're good. Everything's good. Fine. Never happened. I love that story. Really loved reading it the first time too. The production on it is so good. I can't wait for all of you to hear it. If you go out and seek it out, which I encourage you to do so, theotherstories.net. That'll be called Alien. And man, production is really good. Like Carl is the gentleman. I think it'd be Hughes. Could be wrong with that. Sorry, Carl, but I know his name's Carl. Talk to him quite often. Anyways, he produced this particular episode, and it is fantastic. Like, the music that he put behind it is just enough to give it like accent, and the slight sound effects and just effects that he puts on it in general are just, it's top notch. I highly encourage you guys to go listen to that. If you can find the new ones of the what is that one called? It's a fantastic series that I did that we need to do more of, actually. It's called Swift Bear and Laxon. Different narrators started it, so if you go to their website and you see the series Swift Bear and Laxon, that's probably the old one, the one that's featured. They're still working on bringing that down and putting up the new one that I did. But the production on it is so good. They brought in musicians to like custom make themes for it, and all of the sound design and everything was custom for it. And it has this really like Western meets sci-fi feel to it. Such a good production. And I did it a little while ago, and I think I could do it better now if I had a chance to redo it. So, maybe 300 episodes from now I'll get that chance, but maybe we'll reanimate those as well. But it's so good. Just the production value alone is great. Anyways, encourage you to look that one up, Swift Bear and Laxon. But this one, Alien, will be out here soon. Ad break will start here in 2 minutes and 0 seconds as I time that one out poorly. But what we'll probably do, that's pretty much the end of the stream, as it were, today. I just had 2 really short stories to kind of go over. And really, it was just kind of for me, because I wanted to practice going through that short story, the public domain story for that anthology, which you'll see more about if you follow me on social media. I'll be probably ad nauseum talking about that, because I want everybody to go out there and grab a copy if they will, because I'm really excited about the project. And that's just one of the stories. Maybe next week, maybe I'll do the second one. We'll see, because that one's kind of a fun one too. Completely different. But that one's kind of fun as well. So maybe I'll cliffhang you on that. Maybe that's what we'll do next time. But I'm going to keep vamping here, and feel free to join in. Ask some questions if you'd like. Hearthside says those were cool. Yeah, they were pretty cool, huh? I have some stories from some other authors that I want to work in as well, and I need to actually start accumulating some more. I kind of paused for a minute because I was kind of evaluating, like, how is this going? Do I want to continue doing this theme on the stream? And I do, and I kind of want to double down on it. More to come on that later. And I think a revamping of the YouTube is in order, and I think I know the direction I kind of want to go with it. Hey, maybe you guys can help me brainstorm when I'm ready to kind of talk about that one. I'm still kind of wrapping my brain around how I'm going to do it, but I have an idea, I think. Next Wednesday, more to come as I kind of solidify that. But I'm liking it. I really like doing the author's first chapters kind of things, because it exposes me to genres that I never would have been exposed to before, right? I've read romance titles. One that I had to kind of stop before we got to the really spicy parts, that was a very spicy romance novel that I never would have chose for myself to read. It's just not something that I'm personally into, but exposure to those different genres has been eye-opening. Oh, this is okay. And the writing's very good too, from the authors that I've just been fortunate enough to get their first chapters and being able to promote their stuff on there. So it's been a really cool experience, and I think I'll continue doing that. So I need to get out there and get more, people that want to do the thing. And that means the ad's about to start. Isaac, hey, how's it going? Tuning in while I go deep on learning a new RPG to GM. All right. Right on. Which RPG is that, sir? RPG to I played, and then there was another thing, Bird Dork. Good, I'm in Twitch now. Okay. Iron Sword. Oh, okay. So you jumped over to. Gotcha. Akata. I'm slow. It's Whiskey Wednesday. I've had a little bit of whiskey, so give me a little bit of grace. Ad break here ends in 55 seconds. So everybody will be back with us. But Iron Sword, I haven't heard of that one. Is it? Oh man, I want to show my lack of knowledge in this area. Is that more like D&D like, or is it more like Shadowrun like, or what is that? Does it matter the genre really? Is it kind of like an open system, or? Yeah, your eyes. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm good. I got it. I nailed it this time. I'm really bad at reading usernames too, as you'll find out. So, yep, that's a thing. So I don't blame anybody for not being able to read my username 456 because I'm not good at it either. So, but yeah, Iron Sword. That sounds interesting. I played a tabletop RPG once. I know about Shadowrun because I played the video game versions of it, and Final Fantasy, all that kind of stuff. That's the computer game versions of those type of things. The only actual tabletop system RPG that I've played was D&D, and I played it twice, but I don't really count the first time. It was a really bad experience, so I just kind of dumped that out of my mind. The next experience was my first experience, and it was fantastic. It was so much fun, and then probably as most games do, it fizzled out because some of the players just didn't have time anymore. Life, new babies, and that type of thing. So their time was consumed with responsibilities. But I'd love to jump in and play again one day. It was a lot of fun. And I, selfishly, I'd get to work on maybe I could try out a new character voice. Actually, on stream here sometimes I throw up GTA RP, and in this particular playthrough on one of the servers that me and a buddy are playing through, I'm playing a Russian character, so I can practice my Russian accent, as it were, and that's a lot of fun. So getting into mischief and having fun and trying that out. Birdork. Okay, it came out in 2018. It's kind of hard to compare to D&D. But I specifically chose it because I was sick of writing for D&D. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. It's Norse themed. Okay. Little about me. Love Norse, like gods and the mythology, and I am definitely checking this out. Though I'm throwing out the theme. Okay, so you're not using the Norse theme, but you're like using the system. Cool. But I definitely need to check this out still. My first attempt at running this particular campaign was with 4 fellow writers. Okay, and 3 of them flaked. It happens. I know. It's frustrating though, isn't it? You can play it solo also. Oh, cool. Could be a fun stream. That is interesting. That's interesting as hell. I'm going to look into that. And would you mind if I messaged you on Twitch just for like some links and stuff? If I have any problems figuring out information on it, would you mind if I, did that? I don't want to message you if you don't want me to, but that is an interesting idea. Okay, Bert, did we just become friends? I'm definitely gonna look into that. That sounds cool. I like the whole Norse theme though. Might have to run with that and butcher a Norse accent. So, no, that sounds super cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. But yeah, I think. Oh no, I'm super excited about that. I want to jump into that. I just want to stop everything and go do that. But I have to be responsible. Anyways, thank you so much for joining. For everybody that's still watching, I deeply appreciate all of you. Next Wednesday, I'll probably be back doing another Whiskey Wednesday, of course, as I like to try to do every week. I might throw in a surprise stream on Friday because I have an audio drama that I play a character on that I need to get some lines done for. And I found that doing some streaming is kind of motivating, and I might see if I can figure out the small technical issues that I have and see if I can do kind of a live recording of that, because it's a little easier to do in like when I'm doing lines for an audio drama or whatever. But yeah, I might try to do that this Friday. So look for that. If not, I will definitely be here next Wednesday for another Whiskey Wednesday, and I'll have some more stuff planned out for us. And maybe I'll try to get an author on board too, that I can feature kind of their first chapter, so we can bring another person kind of into the community, if you will. So anyways, been a blast. I'm going to try to look here real quick. We got to raid somebody, right? Sure, message me on Discord to be, oh, okay, cool. We'll do. Easier for me. Cool. I'll gather that. Feel like you'd have fun. Yeah, I'm Isaac in the TO. Oh, TOS. Okay. So, the stuff that I was talking about earlier. Good show. Thank you, Hearthside. I appreciate it. Thank you for sticking around. I know it's really late where you are. So let's jump into another reader-writer maybe. Let's see if there's any friends that we have on that are doing the reading, writing thing. Oh, Lady Edgy Fox is on. Might check her out or them out. Let's kind of take a quick perusal here and we'll get you guys going. A lot of writers on tonight. Very cool. Should we make writer friends? Oh, Bird Dark, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, there's somebody reading right here. Research magically associated animals? But it says Destiny 2 first playthrough. Okay, maybe that's not what I think it is. I know somebody that's reading right now is Lady Edgy Fox, and I like jumping into their stream, and their reading style is very, very much different from my style, and they're very much more dynamic with how they read. So let's jump into their stream. Let's raid them. That sounds like a good idea. Let's set that up. Oh, do I have to do the capitalization? I don't even remember. Did I do that right? No, I didn't do it right. Let's just do this. Let's do this. Just copy and paste. When in doubt, copy and paste. Boop. And mute their stream before you guys get doubled. That would not be great. Okay, let's try that. There we go. Don't use the @ symbol. All right. I should know that. Again, thank you so much for everybody that joined in tonight. And thanks for the new follow, too. Welcome to the group there. Welcome to the group there, Bird or Isaac, however you want to be referred to. YouTube, Twitch, doesn't matter to me. But I'll shoot you a message here in a little bit because I want to get some links and some more information about that because it sounds cool. I'll see you over there. I'll be there for a little bit, but I got to do some post-raid wrap-up stuff. But I'll join you over there. Here we go. Thanks again. Next Wednesday. Bye.
So far, it's been an adventure and a half. Ooh. Yeah, there it is. Oh, hello. Welcome, Raiders. Hello. It's nice to have you guys here. Oh, we were just going to start talking about things.